Hey guys, my name's Caitlin Church and I'm the owner of College Girl Crochet, where I sell my handmade crochet items. Today in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make one of the items I sell in my shop, which are these car coasters. For these I use 2 strands of yarn at the same time crocheting, so it does take a little bit to get used to, but it's definitely not hard. It doesn't call for a lot of supplies. All you need is the yarn, a hook, some scissors, and preferably a stitch marker to mark where you are at. But other than that, it doesn't call for stuffing or any of the extra necessities you might need for another crochet project. So it's going to be a super short, easy tutorial. I promise they are not difficult at all, and they are super cute and easy to make. And so I hope you enjoy the tutorial. Okay, so some supplies you're going to need for these car coasters are a pair of scissors, stitch marker, and I'm using a 6.5 millimeter hook, and then 2 strands of yarn. You can do the same color, different colors, whatever you feel like. And then some extra stuff that I just use to tie in my ends at the end of making the car coaster are my yarn needle, and I like to use a small crochet hook. This is the smallest one I have right now. It is a 3.5 millimeter, I'm pretty sure, just to kind of help weave in my ends at the end, but you don't necessarily need both of these or either of these. You can really weave in your ends however you want. This is just how I prefer to do it. So I'm going to set these off to the side in the time being. But these are the necessary items to make the car coasters. Okay, so to start, we are going to line up the 2 ends of our yarn, and we're going to create a slip stitch with both of the yarns together. If you don't know how to do a slip stitch, I do have another video on my channel under stitch tutorials on how to create one. So after we have, let me pull some extra yarn out. Okay. After we have our slip knot, we are going to chain 2 with both yarns at the same time. After we have that chain 2, we are going to go into the first chain we made right there. So it's like we are making a magic circle, but with the chaining way, basically. And if you feel confident enough to do this with a magic circle, you can. Just make a magic circle and then do 6 single crochets in it. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to be using the chaining way to do that. So after we chain 2, we're going to go into this first chain, and we are going to do 6 single crochets in this first chain. So that's 1, and after my first one, I just kind of like to put my stitch marker in there just so I can see which one's the first one. So I'm going to go back in that same chain, do my second one, do a third, do a fourth. It's totally okay if you crochet over that knot from our slip knot. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then 1 more for 6. Sometimes I'll have this hole in the middle, and you can just kind of pull these yarn ends and it'll kind of tighten up that hole in the middle a little bit. So it should look something like this. If you count around, you should have 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to take our stitch marker out, go back in through our first one, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So we should have a total of 12 stitches at the end. It's one, and I'm going to put my marker back in. Go back in the same one and do an increase. So that's 2. And then on the next one, we're going to do another increase. 1, 2. And we're going to repeat that in each stitch around for a total of 12 stitches at the end. Right, so now that I'm at the end, I'm going to count just to make sure I do have 12 and I didn't miss a stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So let me pull out some extra yarn. All right, I'm going to remove my stitch marker. And on this next round, we are going to do 1 single crochet in 1 stitch, and then the next stitch we're going to do an increase, so 2 single crochets in that 1 stitch. So for our first one, we're going to do 1 single crochet. Let me mark that. And then in the next stitch, we're going to do an increase. So go through that one and do 1, 2. Then we're going to repeat that in the next one. So next stitch is 1 single crochet. And then the one after that, it is going to be 2, an increase. 1, 2. I'll show that to y'all again. In the next stitch, we're going to do 1 single crochet. And then in the next stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochets. So an increase. 2. And we're going to repeat that pattern all the way back to our first stitch, and I'll meet back up with you there. All right, now that we've finished that one, we are going to remove our stitch marker. And then on this next row around, we are going to do essentially a 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then an increase. But in this way that I'm going to do it, I'm going to do 1 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet. And then repeat that around as 1 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet. Doing this, either one, it will turn out the same, but doing this to where it is 1 single crochet and then the increase and 1 single crochet after, it does help the increases not be right on top of each other. So it does help give it a more rounded shape instead of starting to have corners to it or what kind of look like corners to it. It just helps keep it very rounded looking. But either way, it's totally fine. It ends up the same either way. It's not gonna throw anything off. So you can either do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, an increase, or the way I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be 1 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet. So in the first stitch, I'm gonna do 1 single crochet. I'm gonna put my stitch marker in. And then the next stitch, I'm gonna do an increase. 1, 2. And then the stitch after that, I'm gonna do 1 single crochet. All right. So in the next stitch, I'm gonna do 1 single crochet again. And then I'm gonna do an increase. And the next stitch, excuse me, 1 single crochet. I'll show that to y'all again. I'm gonna do 1 single crochet, then an increase in the next stitch. 1, 2, and then 1 single crochet in the next stitch. So around the rest of it, we're going to repeat 1 single crochet, increase 1 single crochet until the very end, and I'll meet back up with you there. Okay, now that we're at the end, I'm gonna kind of just straighten this out a little bit, because since the yarn is 2 strands at the same time, it does kind of get a little twisted sometimes and bent up since it's so thick. But once we have it straightened out, you can kind of see how it's kept at that rounded shape instead of having corners like it would when you would just do the 1, 2 single crochet and then the increase. Just kind of like doesn't keep the increases on top of one another, so it doesn't get that pointed look to the sides. So now that was our last round. I told you this was a very easy, simple pattern. It's not long at all to make these. But just to finish it off, I'm gonna remove my stitch marker, and then I'm gonna slip stitch in the next 3 stitches. So in, pull through these. And if you don't know how to slip stitch, there is a tutorial on my YouTube page. It should be under stitch tutorials. So that was the first one, next one, slip stitch, and then the last one, I'm gonna slip stitch again. And then to finish it all off, that just kind of keeps it a little rounded, so it's not a hard corner right there. We're gonna pull these through like we're chaining, but we're gonna pull these very long, enough for us to sew in our ends into the back of it with, because we are gonna loop them around and sew it into this back piece. We are gonna take our scissors and cut both of our yarn pieces. And then we're gonna pull them all the way through. It's gonna create this slip knot right here. Pull it tight. I like to kind of pull it 1 strand at a time just to make sure they're both tight. All right, perfect. And so that is our car coaster. The only step left is to tie in these ends right here from the center and these into the back of our piece. And I'm gonna show you how I do that. You don't have to do them the exact same way that I do it, but this is just how I like to do it. So for these that are kind of like coming out of the middle from where we first started, this is where I like to take the smallest crochet hook I have. And what I will do is kind of find where that knot is. It's right there. I will kind of hook this under some stitches that are on the back, getting as close to my knot as possible. And I'm gonna loop these around my hook and pull them through those stitches. That just kind of secures those so they aren't cut super close to the knot. So if it's pulled in the wrong way, it won't come undone. So I like to do that. And then I'm gonna do it one more time, just because I am a super freak on tying in my ends very, very well. I don't know why, but I am always so scared that my projects are gonna come unraveled after all the time I put into them. So I just kind of go the extra mile with tying in my yarn ends. So let me see if I can get this through. Doing it with a crochet hook is kind of hard sometimes. That's why some people prefer to use a yarn needle like this. But these ends were just a little too short for my yarn needle, so if they are too short, don't hesitate to use the smallest crochet hook you can find and weave them in there. So after I feel confident about how much I've woven them in, I'm gonna just cut the ends super close, as close as I can so it lays flat. So now those are in. Now we have to take care of these long ones. So for these long ones, I always make sure I cut them long enough for my yarn needle, just because it is kind of easier to just sew them in using a yarn needle instead of looping them in with a crochet hook. But if you prefer the crochet hook, go at it. That's all you. This is just what I prefer to do. Sometimes it is a pain getting the yarn through here, but all right. And what I like to do to, oh, I put it in backwards. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this. After I get this through the needle, there we go, I like to pull it all the way to my base, just so I can be sure that I'm gonna have these at the same length, because if they do end up different lengths or like tensions within my hook, like if this one's pulled longer like that, it does create some difficulty when sewing it in. So I'm pull that all the way, and then I'm gonna pull this down so they're at the same tension on my needle. Then what I like to do is I like to go through the back. Let me see if I can get y'all to see this. So my knot is right here. I like to go through right up under my knot on the back side. This is the back side, right up under my knot. Flip it and then push it up under this single crochet right next to it. So I'll do it one step at a time. So right up under the knot, pull it all the way through. That just kind of helps secure that right there with some tension. And then now this is coming forward on the front side, right up under this single crochet next to this knot right here. So up under it. So now it's back on the back side. So now you can't really see where the knot was at all. Then flip it to the back. And I just like to go up under these little V-looking things right here, and just in the middle of the stitch, kind of push it down and around until I feel comfortable with how far I've sewed it in there. I'm gonna do it one more time just for good measure. Go into these little V stitches. Pull through. All right. And then once you feel comfortable with that and you feel like it looks good, you can cut this right at the base. There we go. And that is your car coaster. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching my tutorial on how to make these super cute car coasters. Like I said, they are very easy and they don't take a lot of time to make at all. They make perfect little happies, you know, plus they're handmade, so it makes it extra cool, I guess, to give it as a gift. But if you liked my tutorial, make sure you comment down below, like and subscribe. I'd love to see any of your creations. Thanks for watching. Bye.